So today's guest is one of the biggest. I know that it's not so famous anymore to be a big person because men's physique and classic categories are taking over, so to speak, but it's still really impressive. Ole Kristian Vaaga. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, nice to speak to you. Thanks for taking your time as well, because as every bodybuilder, you are probably extremely busy. How did you start bodybuilding journey?
I think I just started because I was coming from a fighting environment with kickboxing in general, and then started with submission wrestling and then a little bit of MMA. Just from there, I kind of progressed into strength training, and it came natural to me to, I don't know how to say it, but just lift weights, because sometimes you find out where you're genetically more prone to become good. And I wasn't a long distance runner. I wasn't particularly high. I wasn't, particularly anything when it comes to any other sports. But when it comes to strength, I had a natural strength. And of course, that appeals to you when it's easy for, like, I remember when the first time I did like bench press a couple of times when I was young. And then just after a couple of months when I was like 17 years old, I could do 120 kilos. So I recall everybody else was only still doing like 80 or 90 kilos. So then I already knew that there was something in me that was made for strength. And then it just kind of progressed. And all of a sudden I was competing back in 2008 as just for fun, more or less. And then I had no intentions about becoming this big that I am today. I thought like classic bodybuilding was what can I say, most aesthetically pleasing. And just gradually from there, I figured out my frame wasn't good for classic. I needed to get bigger, and then minus 90, minus 100, and then plus 100. And then finally I felt like the frame was, there's also another one with me and Rami and Dimitri as well.
I was just curious because he's an enormous guy. How do you compare to him in real life?
I don't know if you take the other picture. There's another picture of me and Rami as well with no, there's another one there as well. Yeah. No, I don't know. Rami wasn't at his biggest at that moment. I think he was only 145 kilos or something. Yeah. But yeah, not at his biggest. And I was maybe 123, 4, maybe something. So, but yes, of course, he's huge, but he's different kind of huge. And I'm out angling him as well.
Yeah, I can see you stand a little bit closer.
I'm a little bit closer to the camera.
But yeah. What's your height?
175, 76.
So it's typical for a bodybuilder.
Yeah. So now I'm around 127, 128 kilos.
How does it feel walking with that frame?
Oh, it's a bit much to do. I don't know. To do normal things, it can sometimes be a bit painful. Like if you want to take a hike with the family and such, because if you go way up, all the way up until like the latest, the way I look now, there's a posing video as well that I did just before Finland, just a little bit down. Yeah, there one right there. There's one in the middle. No, not this one, the upper one.
The upper.
One up. Yeah. So this is what I'm currently looking. And, you can see there's a lot of water retention in the muscle and in the skin. And, that water retention is sometimes painful on the lower back and the glute and ham area. So no, it's not comfortable. I wouldn't say so. Doing deadlift and squats is definitely painful towards the end because you get so much blood pressure or blood that's filling up the muscle. So it creates a different, it's painful. Yes.
Yeah, I saw you doing a crazy amount of weights when it comes to the deadlift. I saw the videos with 340 kilos for reps and so on. Do you think that each person that wants to grow such size has to struggle with such weights?
I think it's very independent of how your body reacts to the different variation it needs in order to grow. I've tried so many different things, and I always end up back to the old school where I need to push more and more weight. And that's the only thing that kind of makes me progress in a certain way. Because I've tried with higher volume, I tried with, you know, different types of intensifying techniques. And in the end, I always come back to, you know, simple and heavy, low volume, but use, for example, cluster sets and sometimes increase the time on attention by other techniques. But in the end, it's basic heavy lifting that's actually makes me grow. But yeah, again, everybody's different. You need to figure out exactly what you need. And I think if you're a hard gainer, maybe low volume, high frequency on each muscle is a better approach compared to high volume and less frequent when you're training the same muscle. But, you know, everybody's different. You need to, when you're making a program for yourself, you need to take everything that you know from everybody you've spoken to and then just apply them to your training. And then you figure out, okay, where did I have the best progress? And that's why I always write logbook. So then you can pay attention. You can see, okay, like last time I did, let's say squats or deadlift or whatever, then you can look, I had 15 reps on this amount of kilos. Okay, today I either have to do 16 or 17 reps on the same amount of kilos, or I would increase the weight with 5 kilos or 10 kilos or whatever. But then it's, when you train heavy and low volume, it's very easy to have that progressive overload, because then you can always go back and check. If you're doing a high volume, it's very difficult because, and also sometimes when you do high volume, it's the percentage increase. It's so high. Let's say you're doing 100 kilos, 10 reps, 3 sets. That's 3,000 kilos in volume. If you just do 12 reps on the same amount the next time, 12 reps times 100 kilos times 3, that's 3,600. So you've increased the volume 600 kilos on just that exercise. And 600 kilos of so 3,600 kilos compared to 3,000 kilos. That's quite a big increase. So maybe sometimes that increase is too much, and it ends up that people actually train too much, because you come to a point where your training is 100%. And when the training is 100% and you're doing 100% the next time, the 100% the next time, the 100% is always 100%. It's never a new progressive or a new load that the body needs to adapt to, because it's always 100%. So
yeah, keep going. Sorry.
No, keep going. I'll keep asking.
I just wanted to interfere because your philosophy is more like Dorian Yates, slower, lower additions, but strictly over the time.
Yes, strictly over the time. But I also like to perform. I really like cluster sets. You know, like rest pause sets. So let's say a typical workout with cluster set is you're working your way to a maximum load weight where you can perform, for example, 15 reps for warm up, and then you do those 15 reps. You have a 20-second rest, and you do like 10 reps, and then 20-second rest, and then you do maximum reps until failure. Because the problem many people have, and I have the same, I can't go in 1 or 2 sets and be completely empty within just those 2 sets. But if I do cluster, I can empty myself very much easier, very much quicker. And also when it comes to strength, it's also much easier to measure how much you're increasing every time. And if you compare it, if you would do normally, let's say you would normally do 15 reps on that set, but with the cluster, you do 15 plus 10 plus maybe 6. So you do actually, what is that? Yeah, 31 reps compared to 15. So it's a high increase in volume. So that's why you take away 1 set if you would normally do 3 sets, 10 reps, etc. So then you do only 2 sets, for example. But I feel on the muscles and the progress itself, you have a better progress when doing like this, because you're working in a zone where the body is working on more or less the maximum load all the way until the end, instead of having what people call back-off set. Yeah. They have a top set and then they would do a back-off set. I don't think the backup set would do anything good for you. It's only a big volume, and the body needs to recover from that volume, but it's not a new load or new anything. So the body doesn't have anything it needs to adapt to. That's why I think it's better to do a cluster set instead of having that back-off set.
Let's take into consideration a leg day, for example, So we have a squat, leg press, leg extension, leg curls, everything.
Yeah.
In which exercises would we add the cluster set? Like, for example, could we add it in every exercise, or there are some exercises in every?
Yeah. In every, I do, for example, when I do squats, I do a pyramid up to my top set, and I do the top set. And let's say the top set is maybe only 5 repetitions. Then I take 65% of the top set. So let's say do an easy number. Let's say, like I did last time, because I only started back with squats because I have had a bit of a knee problem. I had 270 kilos, and then I did, okay, so it was 63%. I did my calculator. So then I went down to 170 kilo after that top set. So that's a back-off set in a sense, but it's performed as a cluster. So then I did, 18 or 19 reps, and then 12 or 13 on the second subset, and on the last subset I did 8 or 9.
Is there any
amount
of cluster sets that we should perform, or is it just like set max 2 cluster sets, or just to failure?
No, just to failure in the end. Yeah, sometimes you can do like 3 clusters, like subsets in a cluster. You can do 4, you can do 5. I know a lot of people do it with shorter breaks. They do, for example, in powerlifting and such, they do more like, if you can do 5 reps on a weight, they just keep the weight. You do 5 reps, and then they wait 10 seconds. You do 1 rep, wait 10 seconds, do 1 rep, all the way until you come to failure. And that's how they do it. But you can always, in the end, always have some sort of progressive overload, and that's easier to do with the cluster compared to a back-off set, I feel. But also when you come like leg training, so let's say then you have pyramid up to a top set, and then you have 1 cluster set on squats, and then you're finished with squats. And then, for example, you have 2 cluster sets on leg press, like heavy, and you do 15 reps, 10, and then max rep on the last one, or maybe even 4. And then you add all of these up, and then for the next time you go back, either increase the weight, add the number of reps on one of these subsets. If this stops up and you don't progress, add 5 seconds more between the subsets. So you always gradually improve. The body, I don't think the body actually, the muscles don't know if it's 15-second break or 25-second break. The body just needs a new load that it needs to adapt to from the outside, which is the weights that we're using.
Yeah, and when it comes to the cluster set, the progressive overload, of course we can't progressive overload is if our form lacks. If we start to suck on the form, then we shouldn't add the weight.
No.
So only if the sets are perfect, if the reps are perfect, then I'm adding the weight. Otherwise, I'm staying with the set.
Yes, of course. And it's also a much, I don't know, if you do it on back days, you will feel a very different training compared to training like normal, like 8 to 12 reps, 3 sets. It's very different. If you just do it on lat pull down, you just try 1 set, you feel afterwards, the muscle is more sore in a sense. So everybody that I recommend, and when they start with cluster, they always say, whoa, it's a very different feeling in the muscle, also not just during the workout, but also after the workout and the days after. But it's the same exercise that they always have performed, it's just performed differently. The same thing with higher time and attention. If you do one set with, for example, one repetition that's very slow, both the concentric and eccentric part, and then you have, let's say, 3 to 5 reps, one's very slow concentric, eccentric, and etc. Then you have a certain amount of time and attention that we just measure. So you just use a stopwatch. if you want to increase that, you can also just you don't have to necessarily increase the weight. You can also just increase the time on attention. So then with the stopwatch, you know, okay, this I used 55 seconds the last time on this set. Okay, this time I will use 1 minute and 10 seconds. So you just do it much slower, but the weight is the same. But for the muscle, it will have a lot more new impulses from the neural system, which again is telling it it's a new load. It's a different load compared to last time, because the muscles don't know if you're training with 100 kilos or 110 kilos. You know, they just have a certain amount of stimulus, and they will adapt according to that.
Yeah, and we got to beat it in a next session, just in order to grow.
Yes. Yeah.
We already spoke about the training. One more question. Do you yourself use the split or push-pull legs or another variation?
No. What can I say? I always fall back on a certain split that is developed for my physique by me and Maro Sassi. Mm-hmm. Because my back was always lagging behind genetically, shoulders, arms, you know, everything was growing much faster than everything else. So I have to have a lower volume and a higher frequency on back. I need to do the same thing with the hamstrings. So my split is very complicated. It's not just like 5 days on, 1 day off, or it's more mixed. But I would say in a sense, it's a 7 split, but you have certain muscle groups the same time in that split. So even though it's a 7 split, and I have like what I call a floating rest day, I don't have a fixed rest day. I have a rest day when the body tells me I need a rest day. Sometimes it could be 2 days and I need a rest day. Sometimes it could be 8 days and I need a rest day. You know, it's very different depending on if you're traveling, if you're having problem with sleep or anything in the social life. You know, sometimes it's better to say, haven't you ever noticed that sometimes when you have a certain split program, for example, or it's a push-pull leg or whatever, then you on the rest day, you feel very energetic. You're like, whoa, today I should have gone to the gym. And the next day, when you're going to the gym, you're maybe, I've been 10 hours at work. I'm very tired, la, la, la. So, you know, have just a floating rest day, listen to the body and have the rest day when needed. But I also do like push-pull legs, I do. And when I do that, I do it for a short period of time, maybe like 5-6 weeks. I do push-pull legs, rest day, and I do upper body rest and lower body rest day, then push-pull legs again. So then it's a five split in a sense, but a lot more. So that's what I use usually on like a deload. If I'm going into a cruise and then like the second or third week in the cruise, I do maybe like a push-pull leg phase for just a couple of weeks before I get back on a blast or something.
Working with Maro, what made you decide to pick him as a coach, and would you? Of course, you wouldn't. If he would be a bad coach, you wouldn't stay with him. But how would you rate his performance and his adherence as a coach?
Maro, okay. The first question you asked was why I chose him. Okay, I had my first competitions internationally was in 2016. I did then Loaded Cup in Germany. I got the 3rd place in the plus 100, and I did Sweden Grand Prix, and I won the plus 100 kilo and overall. And I did Olympia Amateur, and there I saw Maro for the first time. I think I placed 4th, and just in front of his athlete that came, Raul Magier or something. He came. He got the pro card last year, I think. Mm-hmm. And then the next year again, I was in this competition in Malta. This was before the split, so this was 2017, spring 2017. And then I saw Maro again, and I saw Andrea Presti beating me in plus 100, and I saw Kille Kajula winning minus 100 kilo, and I saw this Avrames winning minus 95 kilo. So in the overall, you had 3 Maro athletes. Everybody was in condition. Everybody was to the bone. So I met Maro later that night outside of the Burger King, because that was the only thing that was open, because it was like 12 in the evening. And I said to myself, and I said to my friend that was with me, and I said, they do something that I don't, and I need to know what. So then I spoke to Maro, and 2 days afterwards, when we got back home, Maro sent me a message. What can I help you with, Kristian? And from there, we started a collaboration. So what's different with Maro is that Maro is, of course, one of Milos's best friends, and they've been friends for many, many years. And Milos has been probably, how many times has he been to Olympia? 10 times maybe?
Loads of times.
Yeah.
Legend.
So Milos knows his stuff. Milos has all of his athletes. And the same thing is with Maro as well. So Maro cooperates with Milos and has been over years. Maro is also Yamamoto, which also Neil Hill is. So they cooperate, they share information, they share knowledge, and etc. And the same thing with Patrick Thor. And so in the end, like Neil Hill and Maro Sassi and Milo Sakrev and Patrick Thor, all of them in the end are learning from each other, and they are using more or less the same thing on their athletes. Like Patrick Thor call more or less cluster training for SST.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same thing. It's just calling it different names just to make it differentiate. So yes, here you have like old from 2017 or something.
Yeah, I wanted to show you this photo because it's our guy, here, Pavel Wodek.
Yeah. Correct. I think hasn't he got? Yeah. I saw he won something in Poland just now recently, but he had an injury to his leg or something.
Before 1 year ago he tore his hamstring, but now it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just wanted to show this photo because it was, I think, the time you started working with Maro.
Yes. This was, but I did a little problem here. I actually, everything, it was, what can I say? Everything was good all up until the last week. I had this stomach flu, or it was just terrible. It was impossible to eat, and I flattened out, and skin got soft, and just terrible. No, probably my worst competitions ever.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this cluster set training and SST training. It all sounded the same to me. It was all like the same, just different naming, so to speak. The same.
Yeah.
To be honest, with Milos training, he just uses loads of the supersets, cluster sets, drop sets, heavyweights, like a mix of everything. So it's all similar, as you said. So you're planning to stay with Maro?
I will stay with Maro, and I will now have been with Maro for almost 4 years.
Right.
Yeah. So also, I think in the end, you have to choose the coach that you feel you're connecting to, because in the end, those 4 coaches are more or less the same, I think.
Yeah, they all have lots of knowledge, just connection between...
Plus, they have proven themselves in the past. They've been good bodybuilders themselves. Yeah. I don't trust people that haven't been a good bodybuilder themselves. Like, if somebody comes to me and say, I need coaching, and I see that they are coaching other people, and I think to myself, they shouldn't be coaching people because they don't have enough knowledge. I feel barely I have enough knowledge.
But you do coach people.
Yes, I do a little, but that's usually I don't. But this season, this year, all shows were more or less canceled, or you need to have, I just messed everything up. So I lost a bit of, I was like, I have too much time. Maybe this is the time to give a little bit back, and the national shows are still ongoing. So I figured, okay, what the hell, why not? So I took in a couple of athletes, but not many. But I did also mostly higher type of athletes at a certain level. So, you know, they needed to have competed before. They needed to be, you know, already good. I'm not here to try, and I'm not here to help people figure out how to train and how to eat. They need to know that from before. I'm just here to come with, you know, changes to the plan, and together we make a plan that's specific for this person on everything when it comes to food, diet, the protocols and everything, and together make something better. Because even though when you're good, like this new athlete I have now with in Poland, like yes, exactly. Lucas, he doesn't need a coach. He just needs, like I do with Maro, I need somebody to just give me like a second opinion, you know?
A clear head.
Yes.
Yeah, someone without emotions, because once you think about yourself, you're always either too fat or either too skinny or something. Like something is always going wrong. So you know,
always.
You just need someone who to shake your head and said it's okay. Just keep
exactly.
going.
So what Lucas is doing, me and Lucas is doing, to use that example, for example, he sent me his diet, he sent me his training program, and I did the changes I felt was needed on the training program. So he will start with the training program that I think he should be doing to make the further improvements from where he's already at. You know, I'm not touching almost nothing on his diet. I just, you know, propose maybe, okay, you have a one high fat day since you have so low fat on all the other days. And then it's more or less sharing information and giving more ideas, not coaching in that sense. But I also do have athletes where you coach, where you have to tell them specifically what to do on everything, of course. But I like more of these, I would more call them not coaching, but more collaborations in between, like with
one
Lucas.
Person learns from another.
Yes. So I do that. So also I had this guy from Barek. He just won his pro card in 212 three weeks ago in the European show. So yes, I take maybe 5 more athletes, maybe.
But athletes only.
Athletes only, not people on the streets. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
minimum been to stage before that wants to do a next level.
Yeah, that's what's waiting for me. I hope so. But anyway, coming back to the diet, I'm starting the subject of a diet. So when training so hard with such an intensity because cluster sets demand, are you more of a carb guy or fat guy? How do you keep your protein?
Protein is usually between 390 grams to 440 grams. The carbohydrate usually varies between everything from, you mean off season or when cutting?
Off season.
Off season, between 650 and 1100 grams of carb, and fat is between 45 and 70, I'd say. So I vary in that range, and I like low fat. But the problem is that my total cholesterol, not just the good, but the total cholesterol is sometimes very low. So I needed to implement like a high fat day every once in a while. So I have maybe, so I alternate on the days with the carb, protein, and fat, but then I also have like a high fat day where I have maybe 120 grams of fat from avocado and omega and trout.
Just healthy fats.
Yes, only healthy fat. Verily, I'm always full. So then when you're always full, you don't have much appetite, so you don't want shit food. You only need to eat what you have to.
What's your opinion on the cheat meals when it comes to your clients?
No. Refeed instead.
Refeed.
Feed body with quality. But the refeed, it's different between, like Maro says, this is a true story. I was asking if it's okay one time to eat like a pizza. I meant like homemade pizza where you can make it healthy. but he was like, bodybuilders don't eat night. Normal people eat pizza. Bodybuilders are not normal people, so bodybuilders don't eat pizza. It's the same thing. So no, it's the difference between eating like a cheat meal that's shit, that like McDonald's, or we don't do that. No, we do. If you do a cheat meal, it's maybe homemade taco with lean beef, and then you just add in more carbs, like a refeed with quality, or you go out to have sushi or something. But it's more a refeed. It's not a cheat.
Good quality,
but of course,
food always.
Yes, quality food, but much more of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was same with the Pitur. Tur as well said that if you need a cheat meal, you either need a mental break or there is something wrong with your diet, because otherwise you wouldn't need a cheat meal.
No, that's true. Exactly. And that's also why I do with the people I'm coaching also. I tell them, if you need a cheat meal for your mental part, that's one thing. But we don't have a fixed day that you can have one cheat meal or one meal in a week. It's when you feel that I need this mentally. So this could be every 10 days or every 6 days, but then it's always, clean cheat, like homemade pizza with almost, little or no low-fat cheese with, you make sweet potato crust and etc. So, it's almost as a diet meal, but you just eat more.
Yeah, I always tell my clients to save the cheat meals for occasions like, Christmas or going out with your women, something like this. When you have an anniversary, then of course, go and eat. But you don't have to stuff yourself. You can just eat some, something like steak with sweet potatoes and so on.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. Also, in all these social gatherings, there's always, usually 9 out of 10 times, it's clean meat, and you have a clean carb source. So you can always eat clean. You just eat a lot more than you used to. So it's a refeed. Yeah.
You do train with Natalia Eastman sometimes.
Yeah.
How is she training?
No, I think she's actually supposed to come here next week, I think. Coming to visit for training. Because the problem is that no, I don't know if I can tell all of this stuff on a podcast. It's too private, maybe. But
maybe, perhaps,
No. Natalia will come, I think, next week. Yeah.
Yeah, but how is she in training? Does she train heavy?
She likes heavy too. Yeah, but she also likes these different techniques that I do with clusters and high time and attention, or. So we like the same training, and she's been growing very good under what's the guy?
Adam.
I just call him Adam, but the body changer. Yes. Yeah. So she's been growing very well with this program. So he knows her body, and she seems very happy with him. So he seems like a good,
That's most important, as you said, the cooperation between the person.
Exactly, the dynamic is key. Like I know, because I have this good dynamic with Maro, so that's why I just stay with Maro.
Yeah. Let's talk about some subjects that everyone wants to hear about. And I want to ask you, because to be such an enormous person, to absorb such loads of food, you already mentioned Maro Sassi. And what's your opinion on insulin? Is it needed?
Yeah, I do so, yes. People ask how we use it, and we use usually to pre-fill the glycogen storage as much as possible. You have, depending on the carb intake, of course, and depending on the size you are, but just take a simple example, and let's say you're 100 kilos and you eat 100 grams of carbs to the pre-meal before, to the meal before your workout. So then you, for example, do 10 IUs there, you do 1.5 hour wait, and then you do like an intra shake that you have right before training with EAAs, glutamine, and another maybe like 60-70 grams of carbs, and you have another maybe like 7, 8 IUs. And then in the end of the workout, when you're finished, you do maybe like 10 IUs, and then you do the carb again, liquid. Then you have a meal, maybe like 1.5 hours later. So you also do 10 IUs on that meal. So in that window, you use 10, 20 on the meal before training.
Yeah.
6 or 7 IUs with the pre-workout shake. 10 IUs, for example, on the post-workout shake, and then 10 more IUs on the meal post-workout. And I know also some people use 10 IUs on the meal before the workout and the meal before that. Mm-hmm. So then approximately between 40 and 50 IUs a day.
And would you use it every day, every training day, or just on the high parts or so?
Like I said, depending on your size and your carb intake and such, and also of course if you just want to grow as much as possible. But I'd say a maximum, if you're going to do it every day, do it a maximum of, because you don't have any fat in those meals.
Yeah.
All of the meals you use insulin, you don't have any fat because of the fat ruins the insulin sensitivity. So if you do it 4 times, you have 0 fat in 4 meals. And if you have only 3-4 more meals, then you have to have a lot of fat in those meals. So that kind of limits itself to how much you can use of insulin, because if you use insulin on the high fat meals, I think it's just you're gonna have almost no effect from it. It doesn't give you any anabolic effect in that sense. So I think just keep it as close as possible. High concentration and around just the workout, before and after.
Only around the workout parameters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. And for example, would you, as you said, you already answered this question. But when it comes to GDAs as well, would you use the GDAs like, you know, those LAA, the berberine and so on?
Yes, of course. Yes.
In a non-training day more?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. I just wanted to, you know, start about this, speak about it for a little, because loads of people say that insulin isn't needed and so on. And most of them are lying, you know, saying that.
Yeah. No, it's needed. It's needed.
Yeah, 300 pounds guy can't use like 5 IUs and be happy with it.
No. On my highest calorie intake, I use, and this is a true story, I don't have anything to hide, and then I use 15 IUs on the meal before training, 10 on the pre-workout shake, 15 on the post-workout shake, and 15 on the post-workout meal.
Yeah, that's still not as much as Milos.
No. Milos does a lot more, but that's how much I do.
Yeah, because you are one of the biggest guys now. When are you going? Are you planning already to compete in the next year?
Hopefully as soon as possible. But if I could choose, I would choose April and May, and maybe like first week of June, like Toronto Pro or something. But hopefully do like 2-3 shows in April and May. Yeah,
are you? What's your goal, to be honest?
Just to be top 5. Yeah, because I went I felt I only got the pro, because I got the pro card in November 18, and I just had a quick break, and then I started again, and I already competed in July in Portugal and such, and then I got 10th out of 21. So it was too short of time. Yeah, it's still okay to be like first time.
Yeah, Portugal was a really high show. Ian competed, Samson, Florian Poison.
Yeah. So yes. So I came in like as rookie, and I had been training properly for like 4 months before the show, after I winning the pro card. So I felt like, okay, I can, as an amateur, I was actually like more or less the same as I was in the pro show, maybe just a bit heavier, but not much. But I was already 10th out of 21. So then now I've had this complete year off, 2020. And I think, seeing that, like James Holling said, won Europe Pro, and me and him is similar, Top 5. If let's say 20 people in the category, then top 5 is like the goal.
Yeah, and the British, he won the British as well. What do you think about his physique?
James?
Yeah.
No, it's it looks a bit similar to mine, but not the same. But he has that dense look as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see you both training, because he's as well doing heavy loads, heavy weights.
He's training more or less exactly like I do.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's why SST and cluster sets.
Basically the same. I sometimes, when I talk to James and also when I see in his programs when he's training, we do basically everything the same.
Yeah, really humble guy. And his woman is from Norway.
Yes, he is. Yes.
She just moved back to UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you for having your time. And if anyone wants to contact you about coaching and so on, can he do it via Instagram?
Yes. And remember, I have this big problem on Facebook. There's a lot of fake profiles, and they even use my name. And Facebook doesn't delete them. Instagram, I get them deleted quick, but Facebook is difficult. So there's only one account, and that's Instagram, and that's the original channel, because everything else is fake. I have a private account on Facebook for family only, but that's it. There's only one account on Instagram. Everything else is fake.
I'm going to link it down below, so anyone who wants to find you, he's just gonna scroll down and press your name.
Exactly. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having your time, and speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. All the best. Ciao.